support a UN Security Council resolution to implement the peace deal.
Both are very determined to help to bring about such a resolution. Of course, there are different focuses which are being brought forward in the argumentation, but of course I think that via the negotiations of this weekend, which I hope will be brought to an end, I hope that we will come to a resolution in the UN Security Council.
On the streets of Belgrade, the newspaper headlines proclaimed it's over. It's been a miserable and dangerous 2.5 months for the people who live there. Some believe the agreement may mean a new future for Serbia, and there's delight at the prospect of peace. It will be good, says this man, because the agreement is the only way out. We had to do it. They were killing us. But what becomes of President Milosevic? He holds the key to peace in Yugoslavia, but it may be the beginning of the end for him if ordinary Serbs hold him responsible for what many will see as the humiliation of their country. Janet Barry, BBC News.
His military has been largely broken through the air campaign. The reputation of Serbia has suffered mightily around the world from countries who supported the people of Kosovo's legitimate rights, and by any rational calculation, Milosevic comes out of this much, much weaker than he would have been had he accepted the Rambouillet Accords.
James Rubin.
Now that Serbian artillery is shelling now between Albanian and Kosovo border, and we saw a month ago how Serbian showed in the TV cameras some Serbian police and military withdrawing. We don't trust to Milosevic, and let me say Milosevic is now official war criminal indicted in The Hague, and simply he is a liar.
But if the withdrawal does begin and is verified, and if NATO then stops its bombing campaign, NATO also wants the KLA not to interfere with the Serbs withdrawing from Kosovo. Do you think the KLA should go along with that?
If Serbian forces, all Serbian forces, military, paramilitaries, special police, withdraw, if they go out and if the NATO come in, I don't see a problem with the Albanians and with the KLA, because in that case KLA has no reason to fight anymore.
So the KLA would be happy if all that happened, I understand that, if all that happened, to lay down their arms and become part of the civil society of the new Kosovo? The
first priority is how to get people back, and refugees and deportees of Kosovo are still streaming into Albania despite this Yugoslav agreement to a peace accord. And no Albanian will be returned until Kosovo is completely safe. And to be safe, all Serbian presence and the presence of Serbian state should be withdrawn.
That was Bukar Bukoshi, an exiled Albanian leader speaking from Bonn earlier. Now, still, I hope with us in New York is the former Serbian Information Minister Radmila Milentijevic. Can I just ask you to comment on what Mr. Bukoshi was saying? First of all, that he doesn't think the Serbs are serious about withdrawing anyway from Kosovo.
This is his opinion, and he's entitled to it, but he's wrong. The Serbian people want peace in Kosovo, but peace for all its citizens, for the Albanians, for the Gypsies, the Serbs, and other nationalities. And above all, the Serbs are for peace in Kosovo.
I'm sorry, obviously we have run out.
Peace may now be possible, but it cannot put their lives back together. 6-year-old Ardiana was saying goodbye today to half her extended family. Her young cousins boarded a bus leaving Stankovac refugee camp and headed for a new life in Sweden. 163 people were due to leave. There were no cancellations. They chose to go rather than trust in promises of peace. There are many, though, who are desperate to escape the camps and go back home. Aid workers are worried too many might try to go too soon.
And in a traumatized population, people don't think rationally. You know, they think their houses will still be there, maybe a little bit of redecoration, the grass will need cutting. They don't think that maybe the house is booby-trapped, there's no electricity, no infrastructure, maybe no house at all.
The end of the war is not the end of the nightmare. The UN says refugees could find worse conditions at home than those in the camps. If peace does take hold, it will allow the refugees to return home. But aid agencies warn there will be a lot more hardship ahead. They say Kosovo now is a wasteland, and those going back will have to start again, literally from scratch. Orla Guerin, BBC News, Macedonia.
Des Durchbruchs lag über den Gesprächen auf dem EU-Gipfel in Köln Anerkennung für den deutschen Kanzler.
Natürlich waren wir miteinander der Auffassung, dass man jetzt alles in Bewegung setzen muss, um das Tempo, in dem wir für Frieden sorgen wollen, nicht verkürzt zu sehen, sondern um dieses Tempo zu beschleunigen.
Ein beschleunigtes Tempo, Sie haben die Weichen dafür gestellt, doch mitziehen muss nicht nur Milošević, auch die albanische Untergrundorganisation UÇK muss die Waffen abliefern. Wir werden mit der internationalen Schutztruppe zusammenarbeiten, aber für uns ist das nur ein Übergang. Die Kosovo-Albaner müssen selbst über ihre Zukunft entscheiden dürfen. Albanien, Flüchtlingslager Kukes, Alltag, keine Freudenszenen. Die Meldung von Miloševićs Friedenszusage hat sich herumgesprochen, doch die Skepsis überwiegt. Wir trauen dem, was Milošević sagt, nicht. Er hat schon oft seine Meinung geändert und wir haben Angst, dass er das auch diesmal tut. Wenn er sagt, dass er seine Truppen zurückzieht, dann wird er sein Wort brechen. Wir werden das Lager nicht verlassen. Ähnliche Skepsis auf Seiten der Amerikaner. In den letzten 6,5 Jahren habe ich eine Menge Vereinbarungen mit Herrn Milošević getroffen und die einzige, die er gehalten hat, war der Dayton-Friedensvertrag, wo wir bewaffnete Truppen zur Kontrolle einsetzten. Ich glaube dem Ganzen erst, wenn Sie Ihre Soldaten zurückziehen und wir mit unseren reingehen. Die Soldaten der NATO hier in der Kosovo-Provinzhauptstadt Pristina wird ihr Einsatz mit unterschiedlichen Gefühlen gesehen. Für die Minderheit der Kosovo-Albaner, die noch geblieben ist, erscheinen sie als Retter. Unverständnis bei den Serben, die sich von Milošević verraten fühlen. NATO-Soldaten sollen kommen? Niemals, das gibt es nicht. Jetzt haben wir die Bomben seit 3 Monaten ausgehalten und das halten wir auch noch länger durch. Noch schrillt der Bombenalarm in Pristina, doch die Angriffe der NATO wurden deutlich reduziert.
Također, u ovom času se ne mogu pouzdano predvidjeti ni reakcije oslobodilačke vojske Kosova nakon što se srpske trupe počnu povlačiti sa sadašnjih položaja. Port Parlo 6 smatra da je cijeli predstojeći proces u interesu mira, pa tako i u interesu oslobodilačke vojske Kosova i albanskog naroda, te da se zbog toga od albanske strane očekuje suzdržanost od bilo kakvih ispada ili pokušaja osvajanja teritorija sa kojih se budu povlačile trupe jugoslovenske vojske.
Dakle, iako je međunarodni mirovni plan prihvaćen, bombardovanje se nastavilo. Tokom prijepodneva avijacija NATO je bombardovala ciljeve u području kosovskih opština Suva Reka, Đakovica, Gnjilane i Prizren.
U 10 sati i 30 minuta ispaljen je jedan projektil na atar sela Topličani, ali do kasno popodne nije bilo detaljnijih podataka o tom napadu. Od 8 sati i 30 minuta do 14 sati na područje Rezine Livade, opština Đakovica, ispaljeno je 16 projektila, a sa 2 rakete gađano je brdo Šaš kod Gnjilana. NATO je u 7 sati i 49 minuta sa 2 projektila gađao ciljeve oko sela Žur i otkupne stanice ljekovitog bilja Farmakos u opštini Prizren. Nema detaljnih podataka o tim napadima. Avioni snaga NATO-a danas su tokom prijepodneva sa 2 projektila gađali atar sela Manđelos, dok je jednim projektilom gađana okolina mosta na Dunavu nedaleko od Beške, javio je Radio Beograd. Između 9 sati i 15 minuta i 9 sati i 30 minuta NATO je bombardovao područje opštine Irig, ispalivši više od 10 projektila na rejon između Dubovčana i Baketova. Za sada nema podataka o eventualnim žrtvama i materijalnoj šteti, javio je Radio Beograd. Avioni NATO-a ponovo su jutros gađali ciljeve u rejonu Batajnice. U Novom Sadu je jutros oko 9 sati odjeknulo više detonacije iz pravca Fruške gore. U Šapcu je također odjeknulo nekoliko detonacija. Protekle noći najviše dejstava NATO-a bilo je na jugu Srbije.
Zamjenik američkog državnog sekretara i posrednik za Kosovo Stroub Talbot izjavio je danas u Helsinkiju da nad Beogradom treba zadržati Damoklov mač dok se nastavlja proces verifikacije međunarodnog mirovnog plana za Kosovo.
Bombardovanje Jugoslavije bit će suspendovano, ali kada kažem suspendovano, to ne znači da će prestati zbog toga što treba zadržati Damoklov mač nad Beogradom, rekao je Talbot na konferenciji za novinare, koju je održao prije razgovora sa posrednikom Evropske unije za Kosovo, finskim predsjednikom Martijem Ahtisarijem. Po ocjeni Talbota, prioritet treba dati pokretanju mehanizma verifikacije plana koji su jučer prihvatile vlasti u Beogradu. O suspenziji bombardovanja Talbot je kazao da su u pitanju dani.
Ruski predsjednik Boris Jelcin zadovoljan mirovnom misijom Viktora Černomirdina. U razgovoru sa njemačkim kancelarom Schröderom, ruski predsjednik iznio stav da bi bombardovanje moglo prestati prije izglasavanja rezolucije Ujedinjenih nacija, odnosno odmah nakon usvajanja nacrta te rezolucije.
Predsjednik Rusije Boris Jelcin danas je pozitivno ocenio rezultate misije svog izaslanika za Jugoslaviju Viktora Černomirdina, saopštio je novinarima savjetnik Černomirdina Valentin Sergejev. Ruski predsjednik posebno je istakao to da bombardovanje Jugoslavije može biti zaustavljeno već narednih dana. U telefonskom razgovoru sa njemačkim kancelarom Gerhardom Schröderom, Boris Jelcin se dogovorio da zaustavljanje udara treba da bude prije izglasavanja rezolucije po Kosovu u Savjetu bezbednosti Ujedinjenih nacija, odnosno poslije toga kada nacrt te rezolucije bude usaglašen šefovima diplomatije Velike osmorke. Njihov sastanak je pomeren sa 9. na 6. jun. Također, radi ubrzavanja prestanka bombardovanja, Viktor Černomirdin se dogovorio danas telefonom sa Stroubom Talbotom da već sutra u Beograd dođe vojna delegacija NATO, koji bi sa načelnikom generalnog štaba vojske Jugoslavije potpisao sporazum o kontroli za povlačenjem srpskih trupa sa Kosovo i o dolasku tamo međunarodnih snaga. Kako se saznaje, rok za povlačenje bio bi veoma kratak, 7 do 8 dana. Viktor Černomirdin danas je saopštio i još jedan zanimljiv detalj. On je rekao da tokom njegovih pregovora sa Miloševićem u Beogradu nije bilo ni govora o obećanju bilo kojih ličnih garancija jugoslavenskom predsjedniku. To znači da Rusija, isto kao i njene zapadne partnere, neće da pravi dil sa Slobodanom Miloševićem koji bi davao njemu neke garancije održavanja na vlasti.
Predstavlja vazdušne napade kada je već postignut mirovni plan i kada će to biti učinjeno, pitanje je koje se danas postavlja u britanskoj javnosti. Vazdušni udari mogu prestati vrlo brzo, ali to zavisi od povlačenja jugoslavenskih snaga, izjavio je premijer Tony Blair. Milošević mora riječi pretvoriti u djela, rekao je Blair, a sve do tada bombardovanje će biti nastavljeno. U Londonu se danas komentariše da je u posljednjih 10 godina bilo previše Miloševićevih lažnih obećanja. Daily Telegraph kaže da je predsjednik Jugoslavije do sada jedno obećavao, a uvijek radio suprotno. Zapad želi da bude potpuno siguran. Kada jednom opozove vazdušne udare, to će biti definitivno. Milošević je prihvatio povlačenje i on to može da učini prije ili kasnije. Ali tek kada se to potvrdi na osnovu vazdušnih osmatranja, simultano će uslijediti dalji potezi za uspostavljanje
Macedonia to Pristina. First in will be special reconnaissance forces, likely to include members of the SAS. Their task to identify hazards such as minefields and wrecked bridges. The job of clearing the mines will be carried out by combat engineering squadrons, including those of the 4 Armoured Brigade. Kosovo is hostile territory. Rogue militia from both the Serbian side and the KLA are unlikely to pay much attention to the peace deal. The troops will be under constant threat from sniper fire and booby traps. The ultimate aim of the peacekeepers is to rebuild an environment fit for over 850,000 refugees to come home to. But they have to try to persuade the Kosovars not to do that until their work is completed.
NATO, KFOR, working with the humanitarian aid agencies, United Nations High Commission for Refugees in particular, and the Macedonian and Albanian governments will need to work together closely to make sure that we don't end up with further problems and difficulties when people return.
The peacekeepers have a daunting task ahead. An entire region emptied by war and ethnic cleansing, its buildings destroyed, its infrastructure wrecked, has to be made safe again and fit to live and work in. Mark Smith, Sky News.
European cooperation in Europe will help set up civil and political structures. Aid organizations will help feed and look after the returning refugees. And the European Union will help fund reconstruction of the region. It's not yet clear who will coordinate the various organizations planning to operate in Kosovo. But the aim is clear: to get Kosovo back on its feet, to ensure it will enjoy some form of autonomy within the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, and to bring home the hundreds of thousands of refugees.
Border with Macedonia, Serb troops patrolled as usual today. No sign of the thousands of refugees who for 11 weeks have fled through here to safety. It's on this border tomorrow that face-to-face talks between NATO and Yugoslav generals will decide how and when these troops will pull out. The latest encouraging sign, as President Clinton indicated tonight, that this war may very soon be over.
This is the next necessary step for implementation of our conditions. I'm pleased that it will take place, and I hope the talks will proceed professionally and expeditiously. As I said yesterday, our diplomatic and military efforts will continue until we see Serb forces begin to withdraw in a full-scale manner.
And if all goes well, the Pentagon is now saying a pause in the bombing could come as early as Sunday.
If the withdrawal begins at some appropriate time, NATO will take a snapshot and look at the progress of the withdrawal and gauge whether enough withdrawal has taken place to show seriousness on the part of the Serb forces, both the army and the special police, as well as the paramilitaries, and at that time make a decision to suspend the bombing.
Already 50,000, mostly NATO troops, are earmarked for the Kosovo peacekeeping force. Many of them, American, British and other Europeans, are ready and waiting in Macedonia and Albania. A new British contingent of 4,000 has now been put on standby to join them, including paratroopers, as well as engineers and bomb disposal units.
Well, we've been anticipating this in our training.
Military meeting between NATO and the Yugoslav High Command. The foreign ministers of the major powers, the G8, will meet on Sunday to approve the wording for a UN resolution. If they can agree, the military track can go forward with a Serb withdrawal, which will then trigger the bombing pause. Only after NATO has stopped bombing will Russia and China vote for the UN Security Council resolution, which NATO needs to lock the whole agreement together. But Russia's doubts about the command structure will slow things up. President Yeltsin, meeting his defense minister, wants Russian and NATO troops to operate independently of each other. NATO wants an integrated command, fearing that without it, Kosovo will effectively become partitioned into Russian and NATO sectors.
We're not going to accept an East German model in which Kosovo is partitioned by where certain troops happen to be. This has to be a plan for the whole of Kosovo, and indeed the package specifically says that this is about the safe return of all refugees for the whole of Kosovo.
Another uncertainty, the Kosovo Liberation Army. Before NATO's campaign began, they'd promised to disarm and believed they had a chance of eventual independence. Now both the timetable for disarmament and the suggestion of independence have become vaguer. NATO, facing the prospect of confronting an increasingly discontented guerrilla army, wants the issue settled.
Protection will be provided by the international security force. That's the whole point of having an international security force, and therefore there will be no longer any role for armed groups inside Kosovo.
This country, over the past 2.5 months, will cost billions to make good, and years of reconstruction. It's a national catastrophe, and yet it's quite clear that nothing will be done to help Yugoslavia until it has a change of leadership. Neither Europe nor the Americans will do anything with President Milosevic in power here still. After weeks in which they've supported him in the face of foreign attack, the mood among many people seems to have changed. The anger they once directed at NATO is switching to him instead. And they're saying things now that they would never have dared to say before.
Belgrade citizens, we don't like President Milosevic because he was a communist and he has communists around him, and we hope we're going to change this.
What is going to change exactly, it is very difficult to say, but there is going to be a lot of changes, and we hope on better.
Not that getting rid of President Milosevic will be at all easy. Still, there are one or two parts of Serbia which have already, in effect, declared their independence of him. This is one of them, the town of Čačak, where leading figures have set up a parliament of their own. Many of them support the Democratic Party. The party's leader is Zoran Đinđić, but he's alienated many people in Serbia by taking refuge in neighboring Montenegro.
Serbia cannot survive with Milosevic in power. Serbia cannot survive 1 year more without, in isolation, in total isolation from the world, without support, economic support, which destroys economy, infrastructure. Milosevic can survive, but Serbia cannot survive.
What's enabled Mr. Milosevic to survive, though, is that the opposition here is so weak and divided. Vuk Drašković, for instance, quarrelled with other opposition leaders and then did a deal with President Milosevic himself. There's a real shortage of politicians in Serbia with the stature to take over.
They're still in training, but not for much longer. These NATO troops know that any day now it will be the real thing at last, their long-awaited entrance into Kosovo. British Army engineers will help spearhead the advance with mobile bridges. Tonight they were going through their final rehearsals. With Kosovo's infrastructure devastated, just getting around will not be easy. On top of that, though, there are the dangers to prepare for: landmines, unexploded bombs, booby traps, not to mention the possibility of renegade Serb soldiers who may decide to stay and fight rather than pull out.
Maybe one or two who don't agree with the message they've been given. And so we face the prospect of small individual actions where people take issue with our arrival and try and probably just harass or slur us up by means of roadblocks and such like.
NATO do not yet have as many soldiers here as they'd like for the mission inside Kosovo. Even so, they can't afford to hang around for reinforcements. These troops are on 4 hours' notice to move into Kosovo after months of waiting. They expect that order to come through any time in the next few days. And when they go in, the refugees will hope to follow soon afterwards. It may not be that simple, though. Making Kosovo safe for them could take months. The fear is some refugees will run out of patience and try to rush back to their homes just as soon as the Serbian security forces have gone.
In a traumatized population, people don't think rationally. You know, they think their houses will still be there, maybe a little bit of redecoration, the grass will need cutting. They don't think that maybe the house is booby-trapped, there's no electricity, no infrastructure, maybe no house at all.
But other refugees are in no hurry to return to Kosovo. In fact, today, some were leaving the Balkans altogether, setting off to start a new life in Sweden.
Just 3 months ago, this military barracks south of the Albanian capital was a training base for elite forces in the Albanian army. Like many other public buildings, these barracks have been transformed into shelter for refugees from Kosovo. Despite Belgrade's acceptance of the G8 peace plan, these refugees show little sign of euphoria.
I don't believe it. I mean, I don't believe it's true. So, Slobodan Milosevic, he can write anything he wants, but I don't believe he will do it. I mean, the troops will be in Kosovo.
Refugees in Albania are living in tough, primitive conditions, but they would still prefer to continue living in tents, sports halls or military barracks rather than return home without the guarantee of NATO protection.
We don't hold out much hope. Milosevic is a sly old fox and can lie at any time. We don't have any trust at all in Milosevic or the Serbs. For us it would mean freedom, but there's a huge question mark hanging over the plans. We would like to think we could return to Kosovo.
There are 125 people here living, sleeping, eating, doing everything together. All of them come from the same village, and community spirit isn't lacking. But speaking to the media, representatives of the self-styled Provisional Government of Kosovo have warned against a premature return of the refugees.
I can't speculate over when exactly the refugees will be able to return to their homes. It depends largely upon when the Serbian troops withdraw from Kosovo. We know that Milosevic has repeatedly made promises and signed treaties only to renege on them later. He could sign the NATO conditions just to win time.
Little is likely to change for the refugees over the coming days and weeks. What they need before they head home to Kosovo is their safety guaranteed by an international military force.
A meeting on the withdrawal of Serb troops from Kosovo is finally getting underway on the Macedonian border at Blace, 3 hours after the scheduled start. In the last few minutes, the NATO and Yugoslav delegations arrived. The Yugoslavs have been calling for a change to the venue. The NATO commander of the Rapid Reaction Force, Lieutenant General Mike Jackson, is to deliver instructions for the withdrawal of Serbian forces from Kosovo. The Yugoslavs will be told which routes to use so that NATO can verify their departure. If the pullout proceeds quickly, United States defense officials have said NATO's bombing of Yugoslavia could be over by the end of Sunday. Otherwise, the attacks will continue.
NATO officials have arrived at the cafe at Blace, which is to host the meeting with the Yugoslav army officials. It was scheduled to begin at 7 o'clock GMT, but a NATO spokesman says it has been delayed because of technical difficulties. The alliance will be represented by Britain's Mike Jackson, commander of NATO's Rapid Reaction Force in Macedonia and a reputedly tough negotiator. He will instruct the Yugoslav army officials which routes they should take out of Kosovo in order to avoid NATO bombardment. There has not yet been an agreement on the precise structure of the peace implementation force which will then go in. The key sticking point is the role of the Russian contingent. President Yeltsin wants Russian and NATO troops to operate independently. NATO wants an integrated command, fearing the alternative would lead to a divided Kosovo. Until peace has been agreed, the war continues. NATO jets were seen leaving their Italian bases on Friday evening, and Yugoslav media reported explosions across Kosovo. On the ground in Kosovo, there are reports of a renewed Serb offensive against the KLA. This war may have a few hours to run, but there is no ceasefire yet. Simon Shepherd, BBC News.
Well, on the line now...
Things have been sorted out now. Everybody's in there. The Yugoslav delegation arrived